All right, welcome back. Let's begin with importance of text in a multimedia presentation. So this is the first subtopic under the chapter 2 text. As we know, words, symbols in any form are the most common means of communication. So we communicate, anybody around the world or humans communicate through the use of words and symbols in the form that they can agree with or that they can understood on. So text in the form of words, sentences, and paragraphs is used to communicate thoughts, ideas, and facts in nearly every aspect of our lives. Its usage includes in multimedia menus, navigation systems, as well as the content in the multimedia application, package, and presentation. Right. In terms of text, it actually has been dubbed as the power of meaning, whereby multimedia developers use words in order to convey the ideas, the thoughts, and the content carefully and accurately. So the use of text is also influenced by the kind of attached design on the text itself to convey the sublime or subliminal message regarding the word or regarding the meaning of the word being displayed or being used. When using text, there are factors that we need to consider which affects the legibility of the text. The first one is the size. If it's too small, then we may not be able to read the text legibly. Okay? We may not be able to identify the words, the text, or rather the letters on its own. The second factor affecting text legibility is the background and foreground colors. The background and foreground colors used must not clash with one another, meaning that the background and foreground colors which used to be as the color of the text as well as the background of the text being used must complement each other, right? Rather than in a situation where you see a clash of colors, which may not aid the legibility or the readability of the text. The third factor is style, right? We have so many different text styles or font styles rather, okay? And we need to be very careful on the kind of, or the styles, or the font styles that we use, because we need to help the reader to identify the text or the words that we use legibly, right? So when you use a very normally the old font style used in yesteryears, so it may not aid the reader to identify the words quickly, or may not be able to, the readers may not be able to read the words properly, right? Because of the difficulty in identifying the words. And another one is leading. Leading refers to the spacing between the lines containing words or the text. If it's too close to one another, one line after another, then it may not help the reader to differentiate the lines, or maybe it may not help the readers to read the lines properly. And then let's have a look at the font and typefaces. So this is the second topic in chapter 2. So typeface, what is actually a typeface? A typeface is actually a family of graphic characters, often with many types, sizes, and styles. For example, Verdana, Impact, Times New Roman. So these are considered as the various typefaces that we have under text. There are many more, but these three are some of the examples. So under the typefaces, actually they refer to the collection, the big collection of graphic characters within one single family of typeface. For example, Verdana, right? Under Verdana, you can see the text with the typeface of Verdana come in different sizes, different styles, the bold, the italics, the underline, and whatnot. So the whole collection of graphic characters for Verdana is considered as one single typeface. Another point to understand is the font. A font is actually a collection of characters of a single size and style belonging to a particular typeface family. For example, as I mentioned, Verdana just now, let's take, for example, the Verdana typeface. So under Verdana, okay, there exists different point sizes for the fonts Verdana. So we have, for example, Verdana 20 point, Verdana 18 point, Verdana 16 point, 10 points, and so on and so forth. So each of this, in relation to their styles under the 20 point, for example, Verdana 20 point, you have Verdana 20 point in bold, you have Verdana 20 point in the standard text or standard font, you have Verdana 20 points in italics, you have Verdana 20 point in underlines. So this collection, this single collection is considered as one font. So the study of fonts and typefaces includes some of the followings. For example, the font styles, whether it's bold, italic, bold and italic, underline, okay, and the various font sizes, 20, 40, and 60, okay. And then the cases, the lowercase, the capitalized letters or the uppercase, okay, as well as the intercap. Okay, this is more familiar in programming, right? And then the serif versus the sans serif. Like I mentioned before, the font styles include boldface, italic, underlining, and outlining. And the font sizes, the measurement for the font or the unit of measurement for the font is called points. And when we talk about character metrics, this refers to the general measurements applied to each individual characters. Okay, and then we talk about kerning, which is referring to the space between the character pairs, and the leading, the space between the lines. The figure below is to help you to understand some of the other traits and characteristics of individual text, as well as the height, the baseline, and some of the measurements or reference points regarding text. Serif versus sans serif. So what is serif and what is sans serif? Serif is actually the little decoration at the end of a letter stroke. So this only applies to certain typefaces. For example, Times New Roman, Century, Bookman, and Palatino. So these typefaces are considered as serif fonts because they have the little decoration at the end of the letter stroke. Sans serif, sans means without, so without the decoration, sans serif. So some serif fonts do not have a serif at the end of a letter stroke. For example, the typefaces such as Arial, Tahoma, and Verdana are considered or are categorized as sans serif fonts or sans serif typefaces. All right. So these fonts are used for headlines and bold statements. Okay, in multimedia, all right, we use text for a lot of things, for many things. Okay. For example, we use text for the page titles. We also use text for delivering information in the form of content, the multiple sentences and paragraphs that we have within the multimedia application. We also have text for labels. We also have text for navigational menus. We also have text for instructions in terms of operating the application, right? So we can see the use of text in multimedia application, and we need to consider the use of text carefully and properly. Why? Because it should be used to help the reader understand the content better, and it should not clutter the display of the multimedia application with multiple or with enormous number of texts. Okay, and to conclude, text is actually the most common form of information delivery. So with that, you have completed the first part of chapter 2, text, on text, fonts, and typefaces. So we shall continue with the next part of chapter 2, text, on another topic.